Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia. I post videos about lifestyle, business, beauty, social media, fashion, a bunch of fun things. And today I am posting a video about buying a home or a house or a property in 2022. And I get a lot of questions about this because I just bought my second property, my house that I feel like this is so confusing for so many people. I'm gonna explain it. But basically I just bought my second property and we closed on it in February, and this is such a crazy market right now that I feel like I want to be able to help anyone who is in this process, who is currently looking for a house or even thinking about it within the next year or two. I feel like the more information the better, and this is something I get a ton of questions about. So happy to help you guys, want to help you guys, and I did a Q&A on my stories, so I'm going to answer some of those questions for you guys now. For those who don't know, I'm going to explain the situation. If you already know, sorry if I sound like a broken record, but basically Tyler, my fiance, and I, we bought our first property in 2019, in November 2019, and we bought a duplex, which is basically a tiny apartment building. It's an apartment building with 2 units. So that's considered something called a small multifamily. So what we bought was a duplex, and our intention was to live in one side and rent out the other side to a tenant. So technically we were landlords when we bought that duplex because we lived next door to our tenant. But the goal with buying that property was always to eventually move out and to keep it as a rental property. That wasn't the plan the entire time that we lived there. We stayed there for 2 years, and with COVID happening and the market changing, we didn't know if we were gonna sell the property or keep it. And our final decision to actually keep it was finding out how much rent we could get for it, which was above what we even imagined because of what's happened to the market post-COVID in the past 2 years and how rent has just completely gone up. So had that not happened, I don't know if we would have actually kept it as a rental property, but it did. So we kept it. So now we have that place rented out. We have 2 tenants in it. We don't live in it anymore. That concept though, and living in part of the building and then renting out the other, is called house hacking. Also a not disclaimer, but just so you guys know, I learned and this is not sponsored at all, but I learned so much of what I know from a website and a community called Bigger Pockets. I have learned everything from them. They have a podcast, they have forums, they have a subscription membership, and they have books. I have like 6 of their books. I've read, I think, 4 out of 6 of them. So this isn't just like, my parents didn't teach me this. I don't just inherently know this stuff. I really took like 2 or 3 years to educate myself, both Tyler and I, listening to podcasts every day, reading books, reading forums. So that's how I got myself so familiar with real estate and the world of real estate investing. So yeah, let's get into the questions. And I will encourage you guys all to do your due diligence. Watching a YouTube video might not even be enough for you to really feel like you have a good grasp on things. So I will leave the books that I've read below, and I'll leave the podcast, Bigger Pockets. They have, I think, like 400 or 500 episodes. And to me, I really love learning about it. So it's easy for me to listen to. I highly suggest you guys do your due diligence and just learn more. This is like the biggest investment of all of our lives, like our house, our properties. And there's so much free knowledge out there that I highly encourage you guys to look into it. Have the duplex as a rental property, and then we bought this house. What we bought is a single family home. Same amount of bedrooms as we had in the unit in the duplex, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. And I'm really happy with the house because we do have features of it that we didn't have at the duplex. Like we have a laundry room, we have a carport, we have a front and back like porch and patio area, big private fenced in backyard for Ellie, and a lot of natural light, which are things that were super important to me. I think actually one of the questions was about that, like what my non-negotiables are. So yeah, so we're in the house, and the game plan as of now, I'm thinking, is to stay here for another 2 years. I feel like that's a really good amount of time. And then at the moment, I would love to keep this as an Airbnb, so as a short-term rental, because it's in such a great area. And once we're done with all the renovations, I think it would make such a great little vacation house. But we definitely plan on doing, and maybe I'll do another video about all the renovations that we plan on doing. The only thing that we've done so far is we put new flooring in, and that's it. So it has really good bones, but we are planning on completely gutting the bathroom, completely gutting the kitchen. Actually not gutting the kitchen, the cabinets are good, so we're just gonna paint those and salvage those. Yeah, it's super exciting. We're gonna deck out the laundry room, and I'll make a whole other video about that. Okay, now let's stop rambling, let's get into the questions. The first question is, since you are self-employed, was it harder to get approved for a bank loan? So this is a great question. Yes, it's not that it's harder, but you just have to prove more. So when we got the duplex in 2019, we actually, when we applied for financing to get qualified for a loan or pre-approved for a loan, we realized we couldn't use my income because I didn't look that great on paper, because I have been modeling since I was 16 or 18 really, since I started to pay taxes. I am able to write a lot of stuff off, which is great, but also made me look like I had lower income, which is not great when you want to qualify for loans, because obviously what they're looking at is your yearly income, and if it looks like you make $12,000, you're not gonna qualify for like a nice hefty loan. So for the duplex, we actually couldn't use any of my rental income. Also, side note, excuse the background, this is a very temporary situation. We have not finished moving in, clearly the Home Depot box and like the closet that's half on, ignore that. So for the duplex, we actually couldn't use my income at all. We only could use Tyler's income. But because half of the property was going to be rented out to tenants, they take the rental income from that side and they take it into consideration when looking at our loan. So that's an additional, I think that rent was like around $1,200 a month. So that's an additional $1,200 a month of like income that we're getting. So we were able to qualify for a higher amount because of that rental income. So for that duplex, for that property, we did not use my income at all, just Tyler's. Thankfully, he has a great steady job, like the normal type of job that's not self-employed. So that's really great for getting approved for our loans. And I was helpful when it came to putting a down payment on that duplex. So we kind of like needed each other both for that. It worked out perfectly. Like I handled like a lot of the down payment, he handled a lot of the steady income to get us qualified, so it was a perfect storm. I knew from having that experience, I knew that I needed to start getting my shit together and start looking better on paper. So kind of made a game plan with my accountant. We sat down, and when we did my taxes the last 2 years, we were like, okay, let's, unfortunately, there's so much that I can expense, which is fortunate, but unfortunately, I needed to stop. So many things can be business write-offs when you're a model. It's my makeup, it's clothes, it's my car, it's my phone, and especially influencing. So we had to just like cut back the amount of stuff that I was writing off. So I showed more of my income, and yeah. So when it came to getting ready to qualify for this loan, we were able to use mine, but it's because it was intentional and because we had a game plan behind it. But that's something I feel like not a lot of people tell you, is like, yeah, write-offs are so great. You can write this off, you can write that off, but not if you're trying to qualify for like a home loan. So that is something I had to learn the hard way. It took me 2 years to try to correct that error to get ready to qualify for this loan. So good insight for anyone to keep in mind. So not that it was harder, I just had to prove more. I had to like upload a lot of my tax documents and connect all of my, my retirement fund and all of my bank accounts, which I think is like pretty standard anyways, but I had to prove my income more. Okay, next question. I feel like this is gonna be such a long video. Is the housing market hot where you live? Yes, I live in South Florida. It is the hottest it's probably ever been. I would say it's not as expensive as LA or New York, but it's definitely, in my opinion, maybe the third most expensive, unless you're in like, I don't know, like a big tech area. I don't know, but Miami and South Florida in general is very expensive, very hot area, and it is very competitive when it comes to buying and even renting now. Next question is, can you use the first-time home buyer option, 3% down on a duplex / multifamily? Yes, you can. That is called an FHA loan, first-time home owner FHA. I don't know what the hell that stands for, but it's an FHA loan, first time homeowner, and that's what we got. That's the type of loan that we got for the duplex, and you can use that only if you plan on living in the property for a year. So you have to live there for at least a year, and then you can move out and that loan still applies and that property is still under that loan. But so that was kind of taken into consideration with the duplex, is we knew like we couldn't just buy it and then we couldn't just buy it with an FHA loan and then not actually live in it. And they do have people that come and check up on you because that's like loan fraud, but they do make sure that you are actually living there in the property that you're claiming you're living in to qualify for that loan. So yes, you can, for a multifamily, do that if you plan on living in there. Next question is, how did I prioritize saving? So because my job is so up and down, I don't have a steady paycheck coming in every week or every month. So my income fluctuates a lot. So I'll have like a really great month and then I'll have a little bit of a slower month. So for me, saving isn't like, oh, I'm gonna put 20% of each check away for this, this, and that. For me, it's like whenever I get an influx of money from good jobs, if I had a great month, if I get residual checks in from past commercials I've done, I pretty much put that all in my savings. Like I only keep out the money that I need for my bills, and then I'm pretty conscientious of my spending habits. I'm not really a big shopper. I spend a lot of money on food, but I'm not a big shopper. I don't buy expensive things. So pretty much I put whatever I have that's above my expenses straight into my savings. I don't let it sit in my checkings. I don't even look at it. I pretty much just deposit it and then try to put as much as I can in my savings, and then I don't touch my savings. I'm a really good saver. Obviously it helps when you have like influx of random money coming in here and there, but I'm really good about that. That's like my little egg nest that I do not touch. I don't take money out of it unless it's for investments like a car or a house, or any big renovations that we're doing, like the flooring and stuff like that. So not like a great answer, because I know most people can't relate to getting random residual checks in the mail, but that personally, that is just like my reality. That's my truth, and I feel so blessed, and obviously so blessed, so privileged to have that privilege to be able to just put a check all into my savings. So that's my answer for that. Next question is, I'm trying to buy right now with my boyfriend and we want to die, LMAO. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. We were looking for the first property, and again, that was 2019, this is 2022, very different market, but we were looking at properties for that one for like 6-7 months, consistently putting in offers all the time, and we didn't get the duplex until like our 7th month of continuously looking. So it's definitely like a marathon, not a sprint. For this one, we were looking for about 4 months, I would say, kind of more off and on and off, because we weren't as pressed to get something. It was kind of like if it worked, it would work, and if it didn't, we didn't want to like settle. But it's definitely not a great it's not an easy situation to try to be looking right now. Next question is, how did you decide that renovating costs were worth it compared to just buying as is? So great question. Because Tyler and his family are so handy, I don't know what is in their water that they had growing up. I don't know what is in their genetics, but they are just like the most handy people that I've ever met in my life. Tyler, he works in construction. He grew up just fixing things with his dad and his family. His family has also renovated a few of their houses in the past. So they really are like our saving grace. They are so helpful with everything. We save a lot of money on renovation costs because we're really not paying for labor. And that is pretty much half of the cost when it comes to renovation. It's like the cost of whatever you're buying and then labor, and we do everything ourselves. And by we, I mean Tyler and his family. So I will paint a wall here and there, probably really badly, and everyone yells at me. But because we have that like skill set in-house and don't have to hire it out, we use that as leverage, and it just wouldn't make sense for us to buy a house brand new, newly renovated, because we can do all that ourselves, and we're putting in our sweat equity, which is like, and this is another vocab that I learned from Bigger Pockets, but we're putting in sweat equity versus you know, buying the equity, yeah, because we're buying lower, putting in the renovation work so that the house is worth more versus buying it higher and then it kind of just being like, it just stays the same. So we're adding that value to the properties versus buying the value. I hope that makes sense. And when it comes to like deciding on what exactly to renovate, also something that I learned a lot from Bigger Pockets is like, you don't want to over renovate a house for the area, if that makes sense. So like, if the houses in the area are going for $300,000 and you put $100,000 worth of renovations into the property, and then it's a $400,000 house in a $300,000 neighborhood, it's not as likely to sell because people with that type of money don't want to settle for that type of neighborhood. So it's really important to look at like what you're renovating, how you're renovating it, even like, for example, the kitchen backsplash in the duplex. As much as I wanted it to be what I wanted, I knew it was going to be a rental property. So it wasn't about what I wanted it to be, it was about what would appeal the most to renters who are going to move in. So little decisions like that are really important. Like we kept the bathtub there so that it would appeal to families versus, so just like there's a wider range of people who would want to rent it versus I really wanted a stand-up shower, but it's not like my forever home, so it's not for me, it's for renters. So kind of deciding on renovations based on that, knowing that we want to possibly turn this into an Airbnb is going to influence a lot of our renovation decisions here. Like we might go the extra mile on things with lights and chandeliers and whatever, things like that. So I hope that answered that question. Next question is financing renovations / what to DIY, what to not. Great question. I feel like I kind of skimmed the surface here, but basically the things that we don't do ourselves is pretty much a lot of electrical stuff. Like Tyler's grandpa can do some stuff like switch out plugs and things like that, but like rerouting stuff in the panel, like we don't handle because it's dangerous, and you should 100% seek out a professional electrician to do those things and not put yourself in a dangerous situation. So things like that we will definitely hire out. Things like installing an AC unit that we like don't know how to do, we hire out. And for financing renovations, when we renovated the duplex, I got a Home Depot credit card and I got a Floor & Decor credit card. Not a great idea to open both lines at the same time in the same week. My credit definitely took a hit, but now that I've had those credit cards for the past 2 or 3 years, we are able to, I'm using those for this renovation as well. So Home Depot offers, I think, like the first 12 months or something without interest, and Floor & Decor does the same. So that for the flooring we're financing. Big purchases like our appliances for the last place we financed, and then it kind of just is on a case-by-case basis on what we want to pay outright versus what we want to finance. Okay, next question is, what were your non-negotiables? My non-negotiables were being in a good neighborhood. A big reason why we were in such a rush to leave the duplex was because the neighborhood was starting to get on our nerves, and it was fine for I like knew what I was signing up for, kind of, but it was just getting a little bit too much for us. I didn't want to, like, I just wasn't happy like coming home every day. So that was a big push for us to look into another place, and definitely prioritizing a better, safer, quieter neighborhood. Like honestly, just quiet is really important to me. Like there was a lot of pedestrians walking. Where we lived, it was like a multi-family area, so you know, there's just, it's a different type of vibe than like a suburban area. So that was a non-negotiable for us. We actually, when we were looking at this place, we looked at another place that was the same price for 2 more bedrooms and 1 more bathroom, but we didn't go with that because of the area it was in, and we were really considering that one first because obviously there's more, you're getting more bang for your buck. But we had gone back like at nighttime, we had gone back at another time, another day, and we were just scoping at the area, and we were like, no, we're not doing this again. It's too loud, it's too noisy, it's too chaotic. And we actually made the decision to go with this one, which had way less rooms and 1 less bathroom, but was in a better area. So I would say that was like our main non-negotiable. And then other things is just like a well-maintained house. Like this is kind of dated, the kitchen is very dated, but it has good bones. Like, and that was the first thing that I noticed when I came in, is that it was dated, but it wasn't like dirty, grungy. Like you can tell it was really well maintained by the previous owners. So that was definitely a non-negotiable. And then we really didn't have any other ones other just than looking for like a house that wasn't a multifamily. And the reasons why we went for this one was definitely like the back porch patio area. Like there's a screened-in porch, which is basically, in my eyes, a third bedroom. I spend so much time out there, like I knew I would too. Also, actually another non-negotiable was having a private backyard, because in our last one we didn't. It was like a see-through fence, and we were like, you know, if our neighbors were out, they could see us, we could see them. So having a private backyard was really important to me, because I spend so much time outside, and like if I want to lay down face first in my grass, I can, like I did last weekend with food poisoning. Like I needed to be in the sun, so I just like face planted in my grass and had the sun on my back. It was lovely, but I want to be able to do that in peace and not have people thinking I'm like, you know, crazy. Okay, last question is how to find the right mortgage loan company, or what helped you in the process. So we use the same mortgage banker. Yeah, I think that's what they're called. Loan originator slash mortgage banker. We use the same one for this property as we did for the last one, and he was actually recommended to us by our real estate agent who helped us get the duplex. So that was great. I think it's always great to get referrals from people, like not just look on like Rocket Mortgage or anything. Like, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with those things, but personally, when it comes to stuff like that, where it's like really involved, really important, I love to get referrals. So if you guys want a referral, I'm happy to recommend my mortgage banker to you. So far so good. He's taken really good care of us. And also, if you guys are looking for a real estate, I can't talk. If you guys are looking for a realtor, I am also happy to recommend one to you guys too. So literally any questions that you guys have at all, please let me know. I'm happy to refer you to my people, and obviously there's no sort of commission or anything like that. I just know how tough this process can be, and I want to make it easier on you guys if I can. So that wraps up the questions. I feel like there's a bunch more, but those are the ones that I got. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions. I can do a part 2. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you found it helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to my channel. And I'll see you guys next week for another video. Please let me know if you have any comments at all. Leave them below. Bye.